Well, I'm ready now, finally, to work on Freddie's teeth. So what I did was I put 1 part Sculpey translucent to 2 parts white and 1 part ivory. As you can see here, this is a Sculpey 3, this is a Primo, this is a Sculpey. I mix my clays. They all pretty much bake it the same, and one of these, the Primo, will make it stronger, so Sculpey 3 will make it stronger than the regular Sculpey. It all works fine. So what I did is I mixed those three colors together, the translucent white and ivory, and I got my little mixture here. Now, as you can see, he's baked. His skin is nice and matte. There's no reflection like the clay had before. And I did already work on his top teeth, and I baked it again. What I did then is I painted the inside of his mouth with a very dark maroon and his tongue with a reddish pink, because once I put those bottom teeth in, I will not be able to get anything in there to paint in there. So I did that, and that's all baked and it's ready to go. So what I'm ready to do now is film while I do his bottom teeth. Well, now we get to the fun part and how I attach heads. This is something I came up with. It's how I attach it to the tonner doll, and I hope it helps you at least get an idea, if you're not using a tonner doll, on how you can attach your heads if you sculpt them. Now, what you're going to need is a heavy wire like a big paper clip, a spring, and a brass tube. Now, I keep an assortment of brass tubes for my sculpting purposes, but you have to have a tube that will easily fit whatever spring, whatever spring that you decide to use, that it will come easily right through that, okay? It can go, it has to be just slightly bigger in diameter than the spring. Now, the springs I use, I get these off Amazon, Nyko, I guess, and it's 200 spring assortment. And there's just so many in here, and most of them are useless for the purposes unless you're doing bigger heads or smaller heads. But what I wind up using from this box really is only this little compartment here. Luckily, though, there are longer ones like this, and I've also used these, which are slightly larger in diameter. I don't know if you can see. Just slightly larger in diameter than these. And what I'll do is I will take a wire cutter and cut these in half, and then bend up the last two rings to make a ring. So one of these will net me two. But for right now, since I have a compartment filled with them, I'm using them. So that's basically what I use to create an attachment for the head. Now, what I will do is take my head, and since it's kind of hard to exactly get it where you want, looking blindly through the top of this, I start it going into the hole this way and slowly rotating down the middle of the hole to get through the still soft clay that hasn't been baked at the top of the head. Now, I'm doing this live. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I have to do it again, but trying to get it to work. I can feel it starting to push up here. I'm going to put my finger on it so it doesn't bulge the clay too much. I'm going to keep going, and you can see it start coming through. Now, I'm not happy. I pulled it out, and it's got the core of clay in there. I'm not very happy how off center that went. This is what I mean. This is what gets me crazy. But nah. So when doing these things live, these are the kind of mistakes that happened. And so what I did is I took that core of clay and I shoved it back in the hole that I made, and I used something that was kind of the diameter, and I pushed all that clay back in and smooshed the head and got it back to a solid head again. And since I kind of saw where it came out last time, I went in from the top and did the same thing. So now I'm happier that the hole is centered in the head. So, you know, if you can just take a chance and do it from the top as well, just eyeballing it and how you have to make it come through the center of that hole, more or less. So basically that cavity down to the neck bob is going to be where the spring lives. And now I'll show you how to fix the top of the head so that it will hold the spring at the top of the head. Now, with my assorted tools, wire cutter, pliers, and round jewelry ring maker, I used the paper clip and I made this little squiggly thing. Now, how this will work is that eventually when I go to do the head, this will this wire at the top is what will hold the spring to the top of the head. It's hard to see. Oh my goodness. That will hold the spring to the top of the head. And I will show you another time when we're done how to attach the bottom part of the spring to the neck bob. But that's where we're at right now. So what we have to do then is take the head, and as you can see, this will go right down into this hole. So the first thing you want to do is take the paper clip, which is the same diameter of the thing you just made, and go horizontally across the top of your hole, right through the middle if you can, and make an impression like so. I hate doing things live because they don't come out perfect. It's when you're doing it, when you're looking directly at things instead of trying to make it work for the camera. Okay, made an impression. Now what I'm going to do is take something and make sure that hole goes back to being round again. Got a little distorted. Okay, and then using this little thing you made, I'm going to put that there and press it down slightly so I know where the ends of that are. You know, these ends. Take it back out. And I'm going to use the paper clip to make a decent hole here and here. There and there. And again, make that hole round because it wants to keep getting collapsed. And so that will work when this is baked. This little thing will sit very nicely into the top of the head. You can even I can even push that down a little bit further so that when you look directly at the head, you won't be able to see any of that silver like you can see right now. So that is how I will be holding the spring from the top of the head. So what I will do now is go back, make sure I haven't dented and reshape and smooth any place on this before I bake it, but then I will bake it, and then we'll go on to proceed to the next chapter.